Mic check. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Looking forward for this conversation. Our topic is the importance of AI first in enterprise tech. You guys already got introduced to the panel. We have exceptional leaders in data and AI today with us. I'm going to quickly touch on the panelists as well. We have Jaya Eripilla from Bank of America. She is part of the DAIT team, which is Data Analytics and Insights Technologies for Bank of America. She's also a distinguished Toastmaster and leads the big data team there. Very deeply entrenched in data and analytics, and of course, getting into the AI space as well, leveraging data as the foundation. Next, we have Shuchi Agarwal. She's from Citibank, the CDO there. Proven track record of monetizing data. She comes from a legacy of that, handling the global data governance there at Citi, and looking forward for her insights in today's conversation as well. And lastly, we have Kamlesh Singh. He's the head of sales for Tiger Analytics. Tiger Analytics is one of those unique niche analytics firms that helps bridge the gap for enterprises between AI and analytics, and looking forward for his insights from that realm to our subject today. Without taking too much time, we do have a tight time, a clock here, about 30 minutes. So I want to start with setting the stage on the importance of enterprise AI tech, AI first in the enterprise tech, and from that perspective, we have the BFSI folks here largely. So I'm going to ask Shuchi to start with talking about what does it mean to be AI first in this for enterprises today.
Thank you, Hari. Great to be here. Good morning, everyone. Now, from an AI perspective, AI is not something that's new in our realm. Companies have been doing AI ML for 10 plus years. Some have even been doing it for longer. Now, when we talk about AI first, I think there is more awareness about having a mindset shift from developing automation to increase efficiency to building it into our core products. So when companies, when banks, when financial institutions or healthcare institutions, anyone is thinking about being AI first, they're talking about integrating AI into the DNA of their business. So not just look at IT as an efficiency or a way to reduce people. It's a way for us to gauge, anticipate customer needs, look for opportunities to increase revenue, decrease costs, increase employee engagements. So all the mundane work that people are used to doing, are there opportunities for us to think about and alleviate some of those shifts and build AI into our DNA. So, for example, if we take a look at banks, typically if you think about a customer service call, a customer service call can take upwards of 5-6 minutes. When you call an agent, they have to look up your account, they have to understand what relationships you have with the business. If it's a complex business like a bank, you may have a mortgage with them, you have savings accounts, checking accounts, you have all of these. There could be life events that could be happening with you. You may be on a journey to buying a house, or your kid may be going to college. There may be a need for some medical bills to be paid. You may be behind on your credit card debt. Whatever the situation is, it could be a fraud transaction or fraudulent activity that they may be calling you on. Instead of having humans do all of that work, do research, put you on hold, and then dig up certain information, if you have augmented AI agents looking at all of your history, looking at everything, all of the information from KYC that the company has on you, and then upselling, looking for opportunities to upsell, cross-sell, and reduce that customer service call from 5-6 minutes to say a minute or so, while providing the customer an amazing experience. That's what a lot of companies are looking at. So building that into their DNA. When we think about moving data moving data from one place to another, from various product processors to various systems. There's a lot of grunt work that goes in. How can we reduce that, and how can we make our AI systems fast enough so that they can detect and know what data is needed at what time and at the right accuracy level. So those are some of the shifts that companies are thinking about.
Thank you, Shuchi. I think that's a excellent overview right now. Jaya, I'm going to pass the next question to you. Touching back on what Shuchi just shared from a banking perspective and you being deep in this space, can you touch on how are you guys shaping and bringing AI first into your processes or projects? And if you can share some examples, that'll be awesome.
Sure. I would like to resonate with Shuchi, what she told. AI is not something that is right now that is trending, but it has been for a very long time. Since you asked to share an example, if to just share a case scenario with Bank of America, we have Erica, a financial assistant. How many of us are Bank of America customers here? I'm sure we have Citi customers and other bank customers as well. So we all know that we have an Erica app, which is a chat voice enabled financial assistant. So this was developed started in 2016 and it got launched in 2018. And from there, initially we used to have, if you look at the total Bank of America customers, we have around 69 million consumers and small business accounts. The digitalization happened in the last couple of years, literally for 57 million customers. And this Erica is, for the last 6-7 years, it got bumped by 47 million consumers who are using Erica, financial assistant. So it makes our life so easy about in anything that we want, be it with any questions that I want, I can just use the app and get the data. So yeah, I mean, I think that's one good example that I can tell, that AI first already started, the strategy is already there within all the companies and how we are taking it forward.
I would double click a little bit more on that. Given that the phenomenal success of Erica, how have you guys dealt with measuring ROI for that? That's one. And then leading into that one as well, because Erica impacting like 59 million customers, it's a massive impact, right? How did you all address building trust of the customers to start using an AI-enabled assistant? Because that's a pretty big gap to fill, right? So if you can touch on those two, that would be, I would like to understand more for the benefit of the audience there.
Sure. If you talk about how we got the trust and how the penetration went deep, it's like probably two factors, I would say. One is efficiency gain and the other one is deepening. So when we talk about efficiency gains, it's just like Shuchi brought about the time that is taken by a customer, by the consumer, by the client, call center agent to talk to a client. This is with the advent of Erica, the call deflection has reduced a lot, and then the call conversation, all these have made definitely a lot of change. I would say there was at least 9 times on the ROI that we have impact that was given. So the main, why was it very successful, I would say, is because of the horizontal of the architecture that we did. There was a lot of standardization across all the applications using single repositories and a common platforms. So from the architectural perspective, with that horizontal way, we have a lot of big data platforms where we have huge petabytes of data. So with that, we were able to generate a lot of insights, and I would say the huge gains are with the call deflection and the deepening in terms of the preferred rewards increase on the number of clients, consolidating all the insights data. So yeah, to share a few.
Thank you. I'm going to switch to Kamlesh on this. Kamlesh, as you're the head of sales for Tiger Analytics, and you probably talk to a wide spectrum of industries and customers in different functional areas. So how have you guys been addressing the AI first? How are you helping customers? And if you have worked with BofA as well or Bank of America, please share some insights for us.
Absolutely, and you're right. I mean, we have the benefit of talking to customers across the spectrum of industries. AI first, I think it's a huge topic, and it's a big initiative as companies are embarking on this journey. We've been advising clients to prioritize the areas, look at the opportunities, but I think that the two big themes which are emerging, other than the governance and the security of the data, which is paramount to any AI first initiative as such. The one thing is there an opportunity for us to create newer engagement models, newer business models? And I would say Erica is one of those examples where you created altogether a new channel for customers to interact with your brand, right? You could have an opportunity, a traditional, I would say a Fortune 500 company where we worked, where we have brought in this combination of NLP, GenAI, and computer vision to standardize all the process, multimodal content. It could be videos, it could be PDFs or Word documents, etc., as per their own standards, and deploy them directly on their various websites. And what they have done, what it has helped them internally do, is to now charge a nominal fee to their suppliers, open this platform to them, and they are able to upload the data without any work to be done manually. Everything gets processed, and the systems on the front end are getting updated as per the branding guidelines and the standards that they have set. So in this process, you have not only improved the engagement, the experience, you have also created an altogether new revenue stream which nobody thought before. So that's one opportunity. And the second opportunity or the second impact that we are driving for our customers is on the strategic decision making. Now with these autonomous systems, autonomous agents as we call it, this system is working on decision intelligence. It's monitoring the events in the real time, it's looking into your data in the real time, processing massive amount of data, and is alerting you, providing you the insights in the real time. And it is also able to assess the issues which are important for you, either as a company or as a stakeholder in your own role, and is able to give you the contextual information, including an action plan before these issues really escalate and bring about anything untoward that you may not want. So I think those two are like key areas or key themes under which we are working with our customers, and I can just go on and on, but that's
No,
what I'd say.
I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing the insights, Kamlesh. I know you guys are doing a lot of work in that space. I want to double click a little bit back to Shuchi. This is a question for you, leading from, as Jaya explained, the Erica's success from Citi's perspective within your space and you being in governance, right? Can you share some more insights into what should practitioners do in order to build more trust in taking AI? Because the AI first approach, success is very strongly dependent on that, right? So can you share some insights there?
Absolutely. So, with any initiative, building trust is paramount. And in our financial services industry, which is highly, highly regulated, if there are any issues that come up, if we provide the wrong recommendation, if a model generates an incorrect result as a result of bias because of poor data quality, it can be a huge from a reputational perspective. So again, building trust is very, very important, and the foundation of trust is data. With any AI implementation, we have to be very sure to ensure that the data that we are using, whether it's an AI model, an agentic flow, any implementation that we are doing, that we start with good data quality. And tools like what Kamlesh mentioned with Tiger Analytics, graph databases, with data mesh, data fabric architectures, those are actually one of the features that can help in that. With large organizations like ours, Bank of America, Citibank, JP Morgan, these are huge banks with upwards of 200,000 plus people and spread across so many different countries. Our company is based around 160 countries that we support. And it has a 200-year history based from lots of acquisitions, divestitures. So if you look at our structure, it's very, very complex. It's very complex, it's very siloed, very fragmented. And if we look at our data, I cannot honestly say that it's always consistent, right? So there is a lot of effort that is put into ensuring that our data is good quality. when we are producing any application, if we roll out any global application, we have to ensure that anything that we train the application on is sound, right? If we introduce loan decisioning optimizations, or if we introduce an AI model to help us make loan decisions faster, we have to ensure that the data is free of bias, right? And on top of that, we have rules like, we have regulations like the EU AI Act, we have GDPR, we have CCPA, so NIST2. All of these regulations make it even more mandatory for us to be able to explain our data. So explainability, good data quality, all of those things are very important.
Suchi, I'll tap one more part of that. If for new practitioners, what would be the control structures that you would encourage be built in order to ensure all these aspects, right?
Sure. So again, when we are designing any application, typically, product teams think about features. Okay, I want this application to produce this outcome. If it's a loan origination application, I want to do everything that allows me to do loan decisioning. If it's a credit card application, I want to be able to get my balances, accounts, everything. But in addition to all of this, it's very important for us to have data structures that allow for controls. So access controls, logging, auditability, anything that we have to capture from our data structures that allow us to ensure that we know who accessed which account at what time, what measures were taken. Any models that are used have to go through a lot of scrutiny with model review management and ensure that any data that is used to train this model, with any automation, it has to be fully tested for bias, fairness tests. With explainability, there are so many tools out there. You have Lime, you have Shape, IBM has AI 360. So again, don't be shy to use any of these tools to help you gain more explainability in your data. So there are lots of things that can be done. And then tracing lineage is paramount. You have to have a great data governance strategy. You have to have a catalog that allows you to identify metadata about your data. So not just understand what your application does, but be able to explain, and trace the lineage of the application. So when we talk about controls, it's starting from data structures and then explainability to metadata lineage. All of these go hand in hand. And, and after an application is deployed, think about observability. Don't just build it once and be done with it. There are so many things happening in our environment. And just like we are thinking about good intentions, thinking about automations, there is a nefarious, there are nefarious groups out there. There's the dark web, there's a dark GPT. Just like we are building models to help us make our lives better, they're trying to build models to help, take advantage, ransomware. So how can we protect ourselves from those things and keep monitoring for drift? As we keep using our applications, how do we observe? How do we continuously monitor? I mean, just like, we don't brush our teeth once in 6 months. Yeah, we have to keep introducing all of these things every time that we deploy our code, every time we build our application. Don't think about security as an afterthought. Security has to be built in your CI/CD pipelines. It has to be built in your deployments.
Thank you, Shuchi. Next, we'll switch gears. Thanks for sharing the insight. So we're going to look at the future, right? So Jaya, given all the developments and the innovation coming through, what is your outlook for the audience here? What do you see in the next 3 years with this whole, the pace of innovation that we are seeing in AI?
So if you look like probably between 1995 to 2000, it's all of age of web. And then between 2000 to 2020, it's more of like age of mobile. And now it's more with autonomous agents, robotics, all crazy automation that is happening. So for me at this point, yes, it's emerging, but what is more important, I would feel, is inclusion along with innovation. All the associates in the companies, they should be given a platform where to really help increase their AI literacy. If you do not try to balance, bring in both inclusion and innovation together, there is a huge imbalance that can create and make the associate feel threat, thinking I'm backward, I don't know what is happening, because the trend is very fast. It's every year, as just what Kashyap told, every year a theme is changing, and it's now not years, it's more of like days. It's just calling like months. So if we do not upskill our resources, give them the proper platform, and try to share the bigger strategy, it's hard to meet the speed and demand. So I think that is more important in the next few years to succeed.
Thank you, Jaya. How about you, Shruti? And I can only give you a minute, okay? And same for Kamlesh.
Sure.
We are running closer.
Again, completely agree with her. Upskilling, and also as we build our teams, make sure that they're cross-functional in nature. No one person can know everything about everything. So as we work together, ensure that we have teams who are very good at anticipating threats. So have your CISO teams, have your security teams work hand in hand with product teams, engineering teams, and build that cross-functional culture where whenever we design a product, we design it holistically, looking at all of the angles.
Thank you. Kamlesh,
Yeah, so I have
see for the industry in the next 3.
Absolutely. So since we have the benefit of talking to various clients and working on different projects, creating roadmaps, I'm very excited about 2 things. As in the next 3 years, what we are anticipating, that most of the organizations are going to automate their processes using AI. AI is going to improve a lot. It'll be allowed to make independent decisions. And so the process automation or hyperautomation, as I would say it, reimagining all these processes and bringing the automation, newer experiences, is going to create a lot of impact for each of the companies. And the second area I would say is, which I'm personally very excited about, is AI getting to the level where we are deploying it on the edge, which it can process like massive amount of data in the real time and producing those insights right on the edge for consumption. So I think those 2, I would say, in next 3 years are looking very much possible.
Thank you, Kamlesh. So audience, we have the 3 to 4 minutes left. I would like to open the space for you guys to have, if you have any questions for the panel. If you can pass the mic, please.
Thank you so much. It was really exciting. I'm going to ask specifically, now that we are halfway through May, so quarter 2 is ending, and anyone can actually answer this question. There were a lot of predictions for 2025 last year. In your experience, are we getting there? And my question is specific to investment and results. So are you seeing with AI, all this massive investments we have done, the trending in terms of results in the industry?
Kamlesh, you want to take that?
Yeah, so see, AI is still up and coming. A lot of it has still to be proven. The more methodical, purpose-built approach you can take towards AI, the more results you're going to get. So I'm not sure when you talk about the predictions or the investments, I may not be fully aware of those, but I think if you are able to identify your opportunity areas, for instance, a manufacturing company might want to prioritize your shop floor operations versus a retailer might want to think about automating certain marketing activities versus maybe a pharmaceutical company may think of R&D or maybe a commercial process to bring about that impact. So the more you can think about it and center your initiatives around the business value and you create ways to measure that, I think the more successful you're going to be. So that's what I'd say.
How are you guys as leaders balancing innovation and governance as AI becomes more deeply embedded into your day-to-day in everything that we do?
Shuji, could you take
Yeah,
that?
I can take a stab at that. So, with innovation, teams want to build fast, they want to disrupt, they want to take a lot of chances. But if you're in a highly regulated industry like finance or healthcare, aviation, all of these, there's a lot to be thought about in terms of fairness, bias, safety, and security. So it's a very delicate balance. You don't want to lose out. You don't want FOMO. And there's also a COMO, cost of missing out. You don't want to be blockbuster in a Netflix world. So we have that fear. but we also cannot risk taking chances and also implement things which can cause millions or billions in lawsuits, right? So with every company, that's a very delicate balance. So any use case that comes along has to be judged, it has to be vetted. That's what's happening, at least in our company. You don't have a free for all. Just because you have a good idea, you're not free to implement it. You have to get it through a committee. You have to get it through your HR, legal, compliance, all of these committees to ensure that this is a safe use case for us to try. So if you're in your sandbox environment, your innovation lab, yes, to the extent that you have the ability to implement using any mechanisms you have, you can do that. But for anything that goes into production, there's a lot more scrutiny that needs to be had to ensure that you're not putting your company or your customers at risk.
Thank you, Shuji. I think we have one last question. Yeah. Oh, up there. Okay.
Hey, thanks a lot. Kind of a similar question, like especially with these enterprise companies, like you're not solving for the local market, you're sort of like thinking about it internationally, right? Building AI solutions at an international scale is very challenging, not just from a data governance standpoint, but even thinking about the application layer, etc. Like how are you guys thinking about this?
Right, so that's where the challenge comes. I mean, if we look at some of our US regulations, they are pretty stringent, but they give companies a lot of leeway as to understand what is fair and have their own gauge as terms of have they met all of the local regulations. But when we look at something like the EU AI Act, that came about last year, and it's supposed to be in full effect by 2026. Now, what does that mean for global organizations? That's still to be seen. And there are so many restrictions. If you look at that act, as in terms of what can be done, what cannot be done, for things that impact education, for things that impact hiring, any of those, they're going to go through even more scrutiny. So you cannot have AI agents make very critical decisions like that. For healthcare also, you cannot have an AI agent make a decision that could impact a patient's life. There are, again, so many opportunities for good, but any risk, if it's harmful, if it costs a life, it's not worth it. So again, those are things that we as leaders will just have to grapple with and figure out what are the best solutions in place. And sometimes it may come at the cost of speed. It may come at the cost of innovation and moving fast, but better be safe than sorry.
Thank you, Shuchi. Folks, I would like to thank the panel. I think they gave us a lot of insights in being AI first. If I were to summarize, I would say it is very, very critical to keep focus on your governance, your control structures to do AI right. Doing AI first doesn't mean it is going to do all the decisions rationally, have the human in the loop. Make sure you're applying AI in a measured way with proper both business ROI returns and building trust simultaneously to be successful in that. Now, before we close out, I do have one final question for the panelists with just a simple hand raise. Is it adopting an AI mindset for enterprise totally important today or be irrelevant in the future? Yes or no? Hand raise for a yes. There you go, folks. I think the panel unanimously agrees that having an AI first mindset is very, very important. And as you take this insight back to your practices and in your departments and in your companies, make sure you keep the focus on that. And with that, I would like to thank the panel and thank you for being interactive.
I would just add on one quick point. It's not just for AI, but continuous learning is the key for everyone,
Absolutely,
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Point taken. And I did see some additional hand raises. The panel will still be around. If you guys have questions, you can follow up on that. So thank you very much. Thank you, panelists, and thanks, audience.
Thank you so much again, Suchi, Jaya, Kamlesh, and Hari for sharing that conversation. So the next panel we have coming to the stage is opportunities and challenges in migrating to AI-first tools. So legacy systems like RPA and traditional CRMs have long been the backbone of business operations. But as AI-first models take center stage, the shift isn't about upgrading, it's about rethinking the entire approach. So today in this conversation, we're going to explore what it really takes to move from workflow-driven systems to intelligence-first tools. What are the biggest integration hurdles? How do companies manage change effectively? And most importantly, how can they unlock AI's full potential for better ROI, efficiency, and innovation? So we have a fantastic panel here that's going to break it down for us. So as I call your name, again, a little grace is appreciated. As I call your name, please come up to the stage. So first is Arun Shastri, Senior Vice President, Global Data and Analytics Portfolio at Marsh. Arjan Sridvanini, Director, Data Science at Wesco. Doug Hauregi, Senior Manager, Enterprise Sales Engineering at Fivetrain. And this conversation is moderated by Iram Manzoor, Senior Vice President at Citi. Please give them a round of applause.
Let's have a seat. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a shameless plug, open the panel with a few remarks about AM Media and Kashyap and entire team. I'm really proud of how much success they have achieved over the period of 2 years. And it is a fantastic opportunity to call some of you my friends. Over time, I get to speak with you, join on roundtables, amazing opportunity. So thank you very much. We're going to start with the panel. So my name is Iram Manzoor. I work for Citi. Specifically, my day job is figuring out how to get bank on a public cloud. It's exciting. I am going to ask each of my panelists to please take 30 seconds and talk a little bit about what they do as well. So starting with you, Doug, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Doug Haudegi, Sales Engineering Manager at Fivetran, where we focus on ingestion of data. I've been in the data ingestion, business for 2.5 decades, whether it's structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data sets. So can definitely share what a lot of the organizations are doing. And so if you have an interest in a particular vertical, more than happy to answer that.
Thank you, Doug. Arun, please take it away.
Morning. My name is Arun Shastri. I work for Marsh McLennan. I manage the data analytics delivery organization. I've been there, this is my 3rd year. And so good to be here. I missed this last year, so I'm really happy to be here this year.
Hey all, I'm Arjun Srinivasan. I head the data science and enterprise AI for Wesco. Wesco is a B2B supply chain and distribution company. Been there for a couple of years, grown the team from almost a team of 2 to close to 30 people now. We look after almost 100 AI use cases across the company, so really glad to be here as a part of the panel and share more.
Thank you so much. So Arjun, I'm going to kickstart our panel with the first question going to you. And I'm really thankful for our first panel who actually have stood up solid foundation of what AI first approach is. So we will go right after to the opportunities. When it comes to business value, would you please share an example, a use case where in particular, using the AI first, if there was an investment that came through for a tool or a product, how are you particularly, in a leadership role, driving and really making the business value happen?
No, that's a good question. So when we think of AI first, I can give a couple of examples, both from a SaaS product perspective, because in my role, I have a build-focused team, and I'm also kind of the gatekeeper for everything AI that comes from a SaaS perspective, so I can throw both lens. So the first example I'm going to give you is from a sales perspective. Everybody here, if you are if you work for an enterprise or even for a startup, you have a CRM in place, whether that is Dynamics 365 from Microsoft or HubSpot or Salesforce, whatever that is. And these days, whether you know it or not, AI is embedded in those tools. You know, like when you talk about AI first, that's the first thing I want to like hit a high note on. How we are taking advantage of that. Just think of your sales pipeline, right? How the sales pipeline starts. You start from an assessment, and then you go through acquisition. Then for customers you have already acquired, you have the retention and the loyalty. Now, for a company of almost 20,000, half of our workforce are salespeople. They are boots on the ground, sales leaders, managers, VPs, directors, whatnot. Their job is to sell, increase the revenue, and being an industrial distribution, we need to increase the volume because it's a low margin business. So with that as our KPI coming from the corporate, how are we enabling this AI first through CRM for salespeople? The top of the funnel that happens from like the assessment and the acquisition. Tools like Dynamic 365 are already using our data, or if you enable a toggle button within the tool, it can look at your historical data. Now, assuming that your data quality and governance are already built, it can look at your historical data, it can look at the market indicators, it can look at the economic indicators, it can look at your competitor data and do a lead scoring for you. Why that is important? We found that more than 20% of the time, we are looking at lead scoring and lead generation opportunities. That's where our salespeople spend a lot of time. Now, you shift that 20% of that time into an automated AI-enabled approach with proper data governance, with the right tool, then that is a time saving for you. So we are seeing the value where we are actually going through A/B testing at this point and seeing the value that you have this AI-enabled lead generation and lead scoring opportunities. You are actually improving the efficiency of the sales. So if you look at the sales cycle, you are increasing opportunities, you are closing deals faster. So that is one tangible example that I can say which is affecting the top line, or which is starting to affect the top line.
Thank you so much, Arjun. It was really, really exciting, and it was good to know, the details at that level. So, Doug, I'm going to come next to you, and following up, our pre-panel conversation, that in terms of legacy systems and the specific role in enterprises, knowing we're all talking about AI first, automation. So what are some of the things as the leader that you are looking into propose for adoption in order to drive productivity and value?
So primarily, I'm in sales. That's what I do, right? I try to go in and share those successes that other organizations have done, right? That's what I do. Is I'm not going to share my opinion. I share the collective feedback from each of these organizations when they are successful in moving their data. All of the same things that typically apply for analytics-ready data set, all that governance, all that security applies the same thing when you're looking at moving things or gaining insights from this legacy information through the use of vectorization of this data, building it for an AI-ready data set, not just analytics-ready. The great thing is, because we're ingesting those pipelines, that same data set that's already got all that governance, you just simply would go to the next step and put it into a vector database, make it available so that it can be included in a language model, so that you gain the insights specific to that data, and you're able to then secure the same process that you secured today with all of your analytics-ready data. You would be able to apply the same concept because you can segment that data. For example, those embeddings or that intelligence that is derived from this legacy information can also be set up so that the governance is going to be restricting access to that particular intelligence based on the individuals who are asking that information. So whether you embed it in a co-pilot, whether you use it as an agent, whether it's built in an agentic workflow, right? These are all terminologies now in the world of AI. You're able to take advantage of that legacy data and that existing governance and just simply apply that as a natural lateral shift. We have a really amazing customer who's in manufacturing. These guys build cement or manufacture cement, a company called Cemex. They are an AI-first organization that are empowering everybody to build and to generate any kind of information, any documentation within they leverage Microsoft. And within that Copilot ecosystem, they are deriving all kinds of insights and ad hoc visualizations because they already have all of that built in, right? So that same governance, that same capability, whether it's an ADLS, whether it's Fabric, whether it's a Databricks, it all applies. It's all enveloped in there. And so they're able to derive that information and those intelligence insights based on who has access to what data, but everybody uploads it. And it's this nice umbrella capability of having and harnessing access to application data, legacy relational systems, SAP ERP systems, and it's all contextualized and available to them. So that is an example of where we're seeing legacy information being valuable to these organizations in an AI-first strategy because they're able to just simply shift it. They already have the data. We can help move those pipelines, and then they contextualize and vectorize that data so that we help them deliver that AI ready. So that's an example.
So Doug, that was fantastic. And without you saying that I am actually advising the various industries or not, just by knowing of what's happening behind the scene through all these customers actually give a lot of trust to the organization. So you should be giving credit to yourself, even though you're saying that you're in sales, but it is an absolute confidence value when a technical sales is speaking and actually watching behind the scene of what's happening and how it's happening. So thank you both. Arun, I'm going to come next to you. So we have heard from seeing the success that's coming through legacy systems. We have seen, how it's being implemented for SaaS and especially for their sales cycle. In your experience, is there a specific analytical angle that we should be looking into when it comes to product development for an AI-first approach?
I was promised easy questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it hard? Take it back. Please, you can just add your feedback. Anything additional that you would like to add.
Yeah, it's a good question. The interesting question as well. The previous panel did a very good job kind of talking about AI first mindset, how the org culture and data readiness and all of those things are precursors to kind of like lead to that. So let me see if I can add a few more things to that, rather than repeat that. So for you to kind of put analytical functionality into an existing application, you have a couple of choices. You can either add or bolt on AI, and you may be successful, or you take that and rip it apart and kind of go to the bare bones and start from scratch. If you do the first one, it's kind of like putting a Ferrari sticker on a Prius. It's still not a Ferrari. It's still a Prius. It's not going to race well with the Ferrari. So if you want to have competitive advantage, you got to start with an AI mindset. What do I mean by that? You start with your user experience and then kind of work backwards. You want to see how you can personalize the customer experience. You can predict their behavior. You can automate a lot of those things, and then kind of work backwards from that point of view. You may be successful in kind of like doing some of those bolt-on AI kind of functionalities, but 2 years ago you would have been a hero, but now your customers will demand more than that. They want a more personalized experience. They want a more optimized experience with the application, with the interaction. So you need to have more heuristics about your customer. You need to have more predictability about their behavior. You need to know 2 steps ahead in terms of what they're going to do. That's the only way you're going to be able to be successful, migrating from a legacy stack to an analytical oriented application, an AI bent application.
Thank you so much. And you are actually talking about the consumer space and expectation in the industry. Spot on, great point, that the expectation is also rising as the capability of the technologies are rising. So I love that. Next question. So I'm going to go back to you, Arjun, and we want to talk about the opportunities, but with the focus of challenges. So if I have to, ask name your top challenge when it comes to adoption, when it comes to selling this really cool idea, what happens? Like how it's happening. And the challenge question is going to be consistent for everybody. That was a good call out.
No, I think this theme of AI first itself lends itself to the challenge in the sense that you got to be AI ready to go AI first. Like we don't peel that onion, or we don't need to in these days because AI readiness should already have been there. And I think last year a lot of panels were going through that theme. So I would, kind of double click into the AI readiness aspect. What does that mean? Your AI still banks on your data. Whether you build the model, like you have a data science team like me internally in a large enterprise, you build these models, serve to your internal or external customers, or you're making a SaaS product, it's feeding off your data. That's how your enterprise value from AI is going to come in. And when it feeds off your data, things like data quality, data integrity, having teams focused on data quality and governance, all that is important. If you have a build-focused team, looking into infrastructure readiness is important. And if you are build or buy or borrow focused team, having observability and monitoring tools within your toolkit is important, because when the AI model makes a decision, and if you want to do root cause analysis, like humans have to be in the loop, right? It's not an autopilot. It's going to be a co-pilot for the foreseeable time at least. So when you have AIs enabled as co-pilots to make decisions, how are you going to do root cause analysis if things go south? Like you should have that observability pipeline. So I would kind of double click into the AI readiness aspect and go through like the data readiness, infrastructure readiness, and also if you have build focused team to some extent the model readiness. So having LLM ops, which is kind of an upgraded version of what you have been doing with MLOps, whether that is a data drift or a model drift or doing an evaluation. A lot of large language models spits text out. It is fluent, but that doesn't mean it is accurate. So how are you going to look at those metrics as a part of your observability? So that's how I'll close that.
Thank you so much. And yes, I couldn't agree more that these have become, which used to be the prerequisites, now they're all mandatory. That readiness, and prior to an actual implementation, what are some of the things that we need to be focusing on? So yes, Doug, what would you add?
So again, being in sales, right, I have to go and talk to a whole bunch of organizations and answer questions. One of the things as this new agentic world has been unleashed is being able to answer things that were particular to something that's hard to keep track. So part of this story is, hey, I needed something that helps me. So it was kind of a selfish thing, right? I need something that helps me be able to convey an idea. So what did I do? This is the part of the disruption, right? This will tie in a little bit of the story of what Arjun mentioned, is I needed to make a change so that I can adjust to something and be a much quicker response, right? So it's more fluid, more interactive as I'm talking with folks and sharing. So the main thing was, okay, what data do I have internally? Oh, well, I have all of our ticketing data. All right, Jira, Zendesk. All right, can I take that data? Can I derive something fairly easy? I already have access, so from a governance perspective, I'm authorized to have access to all of this information. So I said, okay, pull that information. I loaded it into a database. I put it into a vector data, vectorized that information, organized it. I learned how to do chunking, how to do create embeddings. Okay, all those technical pieces. The value here then came that I can now ask it was a chatbot. I can now ask it, hey, I'm actually having this particular feature. Here's the actual issue. What are the resolutions? And then it goes back and it derived all the insights and actually said, here's the suggestions, or here's the ticket that talks about this. So I can now share with potential prospects that we have that issue identified. That issue is going to be resolved in this next sprint. You will be able to do this, and here's the command. The ability to convey that information, right, that's an insight, was powerful because I was able to do that in a single conversation within a fluid 15-minute talk track, and I had it right there and then. So the disruption allowed me to basically get inspired. As part of that, I shared that story with the team. The other team members said, hey, wouldn't it be nice if after a call that I can put together all the instructions that are needed, the prerequisites, and put it all in a doc and have all that automated and email it out to our prospects? I go, that'd be awesome. They went and did that. So after this sort of grassroots disruption, product still wasn't being AI first. We started to share these things that we were doing out in the field. Product said, oh, this had these tangible results, this productivity increase. Well, let's take that. And now product is actually doing things internally with AI in terms of helping to facilitate some of the connectors, automating some of these workflows, including to the point where even our CEO said, hey, I did a pull request from GitHub and I loaded it into AI. And it was amazing to see that the entire monolithic system was able to load in. So that's the change, right? Is sometimes you need disruptors to then make the change into the product teams. And sometimes the product teams are AI first, but I wanted to share that story to kind of convey that other individual contributors can actually be the disruptors to shift an organization into an AI first concept.
Thank you. I'll hold my thought. You're raising an amazing point about the entire hierarchical model in today's enterprises, where how the technology has enabled talent to do great things. Back to you, Arun, if you would like to add anything from an adoption standpoint for any challenges.
Both my colleagues have done a fantastic job kind of covering some of the challenges in adoption, but just one point from my perspective to add. Most organizations start with tech-first approach to solve problems, and they will fail because you need to start with the business mindset. You need to start with a use case. You need to have clear understanding of what problem it is you're trying to solve, then go into solutioning it, then put AI on top of it, then delight your customers. If you don't do that, you've got a 50-50 chance of being successful or failure.
Thank you, Arun. I could not agree more with you. Absolutely. And this is where the partnership and trust is going to happen, where they are with you. You're not trying to convince them. They are part of the decision from day one. We're at time, and I'm actually ready to take questions from the audience. I see 2 hands raised.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Doug, you mentioned about analytics-ready data and AI-ready data. So how do you differentiate it?
The primary differentiation, like technically, it's vectorized data. You put that data in a different column within your, say, whether it's a lake house, whether it's a data warehouse. Almost every database now supports the ability to store that. It wasn't that way. So the answer is the same data repository that you have is leveraged whether you're building your traditional medallion architecture or you then have another schema that's designed for building your actual insights layer, right? The vectorized data. Once you have that, then you simply are able to take that information from a Gen AI perspective and be able to access those insights.
Thank you.
I viewed the first panel as kind of inspiring AI-ready mindset, and this one going to AI-ready tools. My question to anyone in the room, including the panelists here, is how do you sensitize or socialize the board in terms of embedding AI-ready mindset and tools in strategic priorities? And what challenges have you faced, and what have worked for you and what haven't?
Do you guys mind if I take a stab at it? Thank you. Great question. And I will try to draw a timeline on it. So over the period of 18 months is what I have seen, and you probably are already seeing the trends, that Chief AI Officer was a role for a publicly traded company introduced 23 months ago. And today, there are at least every single company is either having a strategy office aligned with their CIO, or they have a dedicated AI practice. And you'd see, people with data backgrounds or not, but that's not your question. Your question is, how are you getting this insight, and how are you getting your board to align with it? It didn't happen in a day. Thankfully, the pressure is coming from the consumer standpoint already. It's coming from stakeholders. And It's happening at the government level as well. And I cannot mention how much the election has boosted, irrespective of what side of the aisle you were and where you voted. There is a huge sense of investments that's happening globally in the market space. So companies are competing for profits, they are competing for their visibility, and they're stopping. Did I say election? That's why it happened? I don't know. Anyways, so it's automatically happening. Boards have to make the investment to make a point that they are investing in technology. Now, the real competition is who gets that piece, who gets the cake. And it comes back to down who can actually deliver value. And they're doing data, they're using a lot of automation tools to show them a market cap. Oh, it's keep on happening to me. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Please, other thoughts.
Yeah, just to add to what Iram just mentioned. So the good news here right now is you don't have to worry. If you're a data practitioner, you're in a very good place right now because, to Iram's point, being AI ready or being with AI or doing something with AI is a competitive advantage. It is a boardroom conversation. It is something that your senior leaders are talking about. And you don't have to worry too much about it. They're willing to fund it. They're willing to give you money. And you can, take that and you don't have to worry. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you had a struggle to kind of ask for funding to invest in AI because we were still in the hype cycle. A lot of organizations, especially the large ones, especially the global ones, were kind of wait and see. Let's see. It's a hype. It may just fade. But now it's like, it's here to stay. In 2 years, the velocity has been amazing. But there's a flip side to it. Everybody wants to be in AI. You are now under serious pressure to do something in AI. So now you need to find the right use case. There is an expectation for you to deliver value. There's an expectation for you to change the dynamic of your customer engagement. New opportunities, revenue generation, automation, or cost cutting, whatever that is, you got to be very clear in terms of this is what I will deliver for this investment. If your company is willing to give you $1 million, they want at least $5 million back in the next 2 to 3 years. If you don't show that, like I said, that's the negative aspect of it. So you got to be very careful. It's a dual-edged sword.
Thank you so much. I see another hand. Oh, we're out of time? Okay, thank you.
I have a question around the how are you actually measuring the success of these AI solutions and gauging the reliability and seeing the continuous monitoring of how these AI solutions are performing over the period of time? What are some of the KPIs that you're keeping track of? So one of the things that I wanted to get out of this session today is to understand, talk to people, and learn how you're measuring AI solutions.
Yes, sir.
I can start with that. So I can give you 2 tangible use cases that we are doing. We have an impact metrics dashboard for those AI models which are already deployed to the business. First one is the pricing recommendation engine that we spun up for our internal sales representatives, ISRs. When they sell a product, not every customer gets the same price. There is based on how much order quantities that you order, where you are located, right? There is a lot of factors that go into that effect. So we have built a model. It is not the Gen AI model. It is a tree-based model, simple bagging, boosting-based model that we have built, but it is really powerful using first principles from economics and data science. We have built that model and rolled that out to our internal customers. They are seeing better margins when they sell. So how we measure that impact metrics is we built a dashboard with our BI team, partnering with our BI team over the last 6 months when we started to roll out as a pilot. Right now, we have it for 5 locations. By the end of the year, it will be 100+ locations. We are doing A/B testing there, right? What that means, they're looking at the same products that this particular location where we have rolled out that pricing recommendation is selling. How much margins are they making? We can calculate that based on the unit price, based on the sales, versus compared to very similar locations that are selling those similar products. So we are, my point is you don't have to get into a rocket science there, but to get the right KPIs is important. For us, the KPIs was margins. Why? Because it translates directly to profitability. It impacts our EBITDA, shows up on our top line. We made that clear. We got that clear coming from the business. So that is one example. And another example I can throw is, again, a traditional AI use case, traditional time series modeling use case, forecasting. We're doing forecasting at a customer level and a SKU level, both for our sales, COGS, and for inventory. And when we do that, initially we pitched to our CFO that, hey, we are seeing a 20% improvement in forecasting compared to spreadsheet-based methods or a moving average-based method. I call it a naive method that you're doing, because we are taking all external market indicators, competitor data analysis, this and that. And he said, whoa, what does that mean? What does a 20% improvement in forecasting mean? So we went back, worked with our finance folks in those business units, and then we tied that to an SLA. So we found that certain customers are not buying our products because it has an SLA saying that, hey, if we host our products in your warehouse and if we are actually buying that back from you, we need to have an accurate forecast out. And by the way, that means that it needs to have so much MAPE, that is like an absolute percentage. So they quantified it for us. Now we are able to track that based on the SLA from the customer. So I just wanted to kind of give you that boots on the ground approach in terms of, based on your use case, working with the business, you can come up with the KPI and then have these impact metric kind of dashboard to view that.
Just to add a couple of points to that real quick. Look, it depends. It depends on the industry you're competing in. It depends on the organization. But 2 points that I would like for you to kind of keep in mind. You cannot use the way you're measuring progress today or success today for AI projects. That model is not going to work. The traditional projects, how you measure ROI, you're going to have to change that mindset. Second point is, most AI projects, serious ones, tend to be large investments. You do need to play the long game. You do need to look at it 2-3 years of break-even analysis. You may want to deliver some value immediately because your stakeholders are expecting something this quarter, next quarter kind of a thing. Start chipping away at it, but you got to play the long game. It's like, in 2 years, this is what I'm going to get you for X amount of investment in AI.
Thank you so much. Okay, I appreciate all the questions, and we're going to actually continue the conversation. So the one about board, the one about KPIs, we're all going to be around until 2. Thank you so much for an active participation, and thank you for all the panelists as well. I really, really enjoyed.
All right, thank you so much for that. And for those of you who had questions that did not get your questions asked, again, the panelists, everybody will be around, because the great news about it right now is we're about to take a quick break. So we have refreshments in the hallway. We're going to take a break. Be back in your seats here at 11 a.m. All right? There's a nice little outside area. You can mix it.